Am I audible, I guess, to everyone? Okay, well, thank you very much. It's a delight to have the group here, and I want to thank ITF for working with us to host it. We're pleased to have this group, and I think it's been very informative to me in researching this white paper and in reading the others that have been prepared for this event and so far in our discussion. So I'd like to acknowledge Luzardo Bolaños and Nobuhiko Daito, who are here, who worked with me on this paper over the last several months and will answer all the difficult questions that come up, and easy ones I will be happy to take. A brief overview. Third project is the Indiana Toll Road, which has been very much in the news in the U.S. in the last few months because it declared bankruptcy last, I think, on September 20th or something like that of last month. So this was a headline project in 2006, $3.8 billion payment to the state of Indiana to take over an existing 150-mile toll road. There was an agreement to build some additional new lane mileage on the facility, but a cash payment to the state. It was one of the first two deals in the U.S. that I think really got the attention of many states around the country as to the potential value that might be locked up in their infrastructure. This project encountered some, well, it just declared bankruptcy, as I mentioned. They did have several changes that are listed there. The bankruptcy last month is said to be a quick turn bankruptcy. It will go into bankruptcy court, or it went into bankruptcy in September. The expectation is it would emerge from bankruptcy within a year. The lenders would receive about 98 cents on the dollar for their loan value, but the equity of Macquarie was extinguished on that project in the bankruptcy. The next case study is a first of three projects here in Virginia. This one just west of Dulles Airport, which many of you may have traveled into when you were flying into Washington. Goes a 14-mile roadway authorized under a 1988 law that was passed in Virginia to allow the building of a private toll road. 14 miles in length. It opened in 1995 after financial close in 1993. It immediately ran into some financial problems. The owners defaulted on debt in 95. Tolls were increased and speed limit was increased in 97. The debt was restructured in 99. The concession period was extended in 2001. And then tolls were adjusted. Macquarie acquired the project in 2005, and the toll setting mechanism last year was modified to that one that's shown here. The next project is in the state capital, Richmond, Virginia. It's called the Pocahontas Parkway. It was a short 9-mile facility that included a high-level bridge over the James River, which is a navigable waterway, which required it to have a very high ship clearance. It was the first project to be undertaken under the 1995 Virginia Public-Private Transportation Act, and financial close in 98, opened to service in 2002. The Transurban, the Australian Transurban USA, the Australian subsidiary, bought it in 2006, and the concession period was extended to 99 years. In 2012, Transurban wrote off its equity to zero, but continued operation, and earlier this year, Transurban transferred operation to a new service provider, and at the same time paid off the TIFIA debt. I think was 150 million of TIFIA debt was paid off in that earlier this year in that deal. And the last case study is a current project by Skanska and Macquarie in Hampton Roads, which is a strategically important shipping and military port on the East Coast, natural deep water port, very substantial natural endowments as a port. It's a very strong port. The project was closed in 2002, and the facility is expected to open in 2017. It's a 2.2-mile facility, but it includes a tunnel, a 2-lane tunnel, and a bridge viaduct project. The part of the challenge of this was it duplicates, or it will expand the capacity across the Elizabeth River. There's an existing 2-lane tunnel that was built in the 1960s, and under tolls, the tolls were repaid, or the bonds were paid off, the tolls were eliminated, and it's a huge bottleneck in that region, and the new project will build a new 2-lane tunnel that's parallel to the existing 2-lane tunnel, renovate and bring to modern design standards the existing tunnel. One of the challenges or special features of this was that the financing involved imposing a toll early on before the new facility was opened, and that caused quite a lot of political controversy. And so the renegotiations that occurred there, both precipitated by the state, the first in 2012 to delay the onset of tolls until February of 2014, earlier this year, and then the second in January of 2014 to ramp up the tolls gradually rather than starting out at the originally agreed upon toll. I think the ultimate toll will be $1.84, and the delayed toll, I believe, was $1.25. So those are the case studies, and as I say, I'll be happy to come back and expand on them in the discussion period. Looking for evidence of opportunism, there's a couple of things that came out as we looked at these cases. You might say that California's behavior to try to breach the contract was an example of opportunism, to breach the non-compete agreement. That was not successful, and they had to buy out the concession. On the South Bay project, there haven't been findings of fact on this, but there was strong opposition. There is strong opposition by the California Professional Engineers, the Professional Engineers in California Government, which is the union of state professional engineers. They have great concerns about P3s and privatization, and had opposed legislation to allow P3s and its continuation, and continue to oppose that. There are allegations by the concessionaire that the professional engineers delayed slow-walked the environmental permitting process, and in this case, the environmental permitting delay was on the concessionaire rather than on the state. Those have been dismissed and not accepted in bankruptcy. And here in Virginia, we've had a lot of political changes in party in the state Senate and in the governor over the last 20 years, and those changes of party and changes of control are also a possible may provide an opportunity for government to change the terms of a deal that was struck by a prior governor. On the private side, all the concessionaires, not surprisingly, have experience with renegotiations, but we don't really have any direct evidence of opportunism and need more analysis to draw stronger conclusions there. The issue of exogenous changes was very important in almost every case. The economic growth and unemployment affected Dulles Greenway, South Bay Expressway, Pocahontas Parkway, partially the Indiana Toll Road. The South Bay Expressway also may have been affected by commodity prices, and interest rates played an important role in Dulles Greenway, and especially in Indiana Toll Road. In Indiana Toll Road, there was a step-up interest swap agreement that stepped up the obligations on interest payments over the beginning from 2006 for the following 10 years, and as interest rates plummeted, the cost of buying out that swap agreement exploded, and that was part of the difficulty that they encountered in that project. In terms of contract complexity, there is certainly evidence that many of these were highly complex projects in South Bay. I mentioned the bridge project that after environmental approval was required to use very sophisticated and expensive construction techniques to minimize the ground level impacts of the construction. The P3 model is new in the US market, and in 4 of the cases that we looked at, it was the first time that the law had been used in SR 91. It was the first time SB 480 had been used. South Bay was another project that came out of that same bill. Indiana Toll Road was a new P3 for Indiana. Dulles Greenway, using the 1988 bill in Virginia, and Pocahontas Parkway, using the 1995 law in Virginia. The political viability of a lot of the projects that we looked at did require complex arrangements for fiscal, tolling, environmental, civil rights concerns were an issue in the South Bay Expressway, or in the Elizabeth River case, because the new tunnel that was constructed and the existing tunnel connected a primarily African-American community with a large number of jobs at the other end of the tunnel. And many of the projects had complex, technical features, duration, and so forth. And finally, Winter's Curse seems to have been an explanation for the Indiana Toll Road case. There were 4 bidders in that case. Sintra Macquarie bid was $1 billion more than the next highest bid. So it was a very surprising number when it was awarded, and when the bids were opened, and that may have come back then to haunt that project. So to wrap up, let me just say that the factors associated with renegotiations in this market, certainly external shocks have played an important part in all of these projects, or many of these projects. Contract complexity, also a feature. The political environment, concerns about private provision of public goods, sort of the ethnic divisions in some of the communities that are being serviced, also an issue, and complex projects. We didn't see definitive evidence of opportunism in the cases that we looked at. Winter's Curse I've mentioned, and I should say that the government losses to date are certainly, they're certainly real. South Bay Expressway appears like it may bring losses to TIFIA, although TIFIA claims that they will be able to get all their money out of that project through their equity stake in the project. But having an equity stake as opposed to a loan is a much different agreement. We had extensions of terms in Dulles Greenway, and as any researcher's presentation will conclude, more research is needed to look further at these issues. So I'll wrap up there and look forward to the questions as we go forward. So thank you very much.